Hey, shalom brothers, shalom sisters, Bishop Nathaniel here of Israel United in Christ, along with all the brothers of Iuic. And we want to say, Israel forever.
Israel forever.
I know you don't know why we're saying that, because we just came back from seeing one of the best movies, I gotta say it, one of the best movies of all time, Black Panther. You had a black screenwriter, what was his name? Joe Robert Cole. You had a black director, Ryan Coogler. And you had a black costume designer, what was her name? Ruth Carter. And the costume design was nice. We got to give them kudos for that. And what's very important about that, if I want to read Hosea 3 and 4. This is a prophecy about our people here throughout the Americas and in Africa. Watch this. Watch what it says about the children of Israel. Hosea 3 and 4. It says, "For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice," here it comes, "and without an image." We have not had a proper or decent image of our people since slavery. Since, even colonization. Oh, that's funny, that's going to come up later on. But we have not had a proper image. But with that movie, they put out some good images of our people. Not all of them was good, but we're trying. Our people is trying something.
Exactly.
So we got to give them 2 thumbs up for that. So...
Okay, basically the movie is about a place known as Wakanda, consisting of 5 African tribes that were warring against each other. The continent was hit by a meteorite, which came out of it, vibranium came out of it, and the tribes cultivated it and established themselves as a technological empire. And over time, they were warring against each other, and eventually one rose up out of the tribes and ate the heart-shaped herb and gained power. And he was able to unite all the tribes, with the exception of one, into a united kingdom, basically. And they became technologically advanced outside of the other parts of the world that didn't know about it. And they remained that way for years, for centuries.
You know what I wanted to say? Something about what you just said. When you mentioned Wakanda, if you notice the writings in today's newspapers and interviews, people are always starting, there's one word they precede Wakanda with. They'll say the fictional city of Wakanda. And if you notice, that's white supremacy, because they never do it when they talk about Asgard. They'll say Asgard, the land of the Norse gods, or Krypton. Why don't they say fictional Krypton, fictional Asgard? But when it comes to Wakanda, they say, all right, you Negroes, we want you to understand, it ain't real. Don't try to get on the plane and go there, because it ain't real. Get it through your mind. That's what they do.
It's heavy. Exactly. That's true.
And you mentioned the herb.
The heart-shaped herb.
Heart-shaped herb. King Solomon made a statement about herbs. Can we look at Wisdom of Solomon real quick? Now, I don't know if we're going to have some spoiler alerts in there. They may or may not. But we do, as you know, we like to filter things through the Bible. Okay? Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 20. This is what King Solomon made a statement about. Watch this.
Wisdom of Solomon 7 verse 20. The natures of living creatures.
So Solomon, which was a black man, yes, we is black. He knew the natures of living creatures.
And the furies of wild beasts.
The furies of wild beasts.
The violence of winds.
Violence of winds.
And the reasonings of men.
Reasonings of men. Watch this.
The diversities of plants.
The diversities of plants.
And the virtues of roots.
And the virtues of roots. So, in the movie, they understood that as well. And that's what you mentioned about the purple heart-shaped herb,
which enhances your agility, your strength, all the above. Makes you a Superman, a super being, and that's how he was able to. His father was able to, what T'Chaka was able to unite. Well, not him, but his ancestors were able to pretty much gain control over all of the kingdoms, all the different nations, African nations in the land.
So what did the herb do?
It enhanced your strength, your agility, your speed. Makes you a super being, basically. You can heal faster, you can move faster, jump, lift things heavier than your...
And he took on the mantle
of Black Panther. Each Black Panther is passed on from father to son.
And you know what's about that? Let me just say this. Watch this. Watch this. The devil. Well, okay, I said the devil. You might be offended by that. But Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created Black Panther July 1966.
Yes.
And they're saying we did not steal is from the Black Panthers Party, which came about October.
Same year.
October. However, watch this now. I want y'all to roll with me now. You had a political group called the Lourdes or Lowndes County Freedom Organization, which had the Black Panther Party in 1965, a year before. And Stokely Carmichael bought it from him, asked him could he use the Black Panther and the name. And they allowed him because Stokely Carmichael got more, more popularity than the group named Lowndes County Freedom Organization. Now watch this. In 1942, World War II, you had the 761st Tank Battalion, which was a black segregated group. They were called the Black Panthers.
Yep.
So for people, for Stan Lee and them to say, oh no, we didn't get it from, see, they try to play with words. You might not have got it from Stokely Carmichael and the Black Panther Party. But in 1942, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, they were in their 20s. And they were doing comics based on World War II. Hence Captain America, the Falcon. It was all from that time period. Then later on, you brought forth the Black. But you ain't fooling me.
And what's funny is that during the time of the 60s when Black Panther was called Black Panther, to avoid any affiliation with him getting inspiration from the group of the Black Panther Party, he changed his name to Black Leopard. To avoid any type of affiliation with them getting it from them, I guess you could say, assisting the popularity of the Black Panther Party, he changed it to Black Leopard. Then when the Black Panther Party was neutralized, then he put it back to Black Panther again.
You also said something earlier about vibranium and how the meteorite came down, the vibranium came down and made that continent great.
Yes.
So you know Esau likes to push that. So, but you had many empires, like the Dahomey Empire, the Mali, Timbuktu, that were also great. So they like to put that in the minds of the people to let them know that the only way this black continent became great was from some outside source, you know? So that's propaganda right there.
That is propaganda. Africa is the richest continent on the planet. And the vibranium in the movie that they want to extract is the natural resources that we see in society that they're trying to steal. Okay, you had many, like you said, many great black empires. You had the Falashas, which were from Ethiopia. And that word Falasha is a Greek word that means strangers. And they didn't give themselves that name. That was put on them because they were Israelites. And a lot of you Kemetic community, you like to ignore the fact that the greatest history book in the world, the Bible, is accurate. And it tells you how the children of Israel fled into Africa and dwelt there for over 1,000 years. You like to ignore that. You had the Tutsi of Rwanda. You have the Zulus. You have Lemba. You have the Ashanti. What's that scripture with the Ashanti? In Judges, y'all know what that is? Find me that. Also, in Ghana, you have the tribe of Ga. Now, when you speak to them, they say that they're the tribe of God. G-A-D. Where's that from? The Bible. Okay? Just like Ashanti. Where's that from? The Bible. Okay? You can't ignore the book. Okay? Also, you got the Yoruba. You have the Igbo, which is Hebrew. Okay? You got the Lamlam from Timbuktu, Zafin. You got Beni Ephraim of Nigeria. Okay? Somebody find me that.
Take this in, Josh.
Yeah.
I think chapter 19. 19
Right here, 19 verse 7.
Read that.
Joshua 19 verse 7. Ain, Rimmon, and Ether, and Ashan, 4 cities and their villages.
You see that word Ashan there? It was a city and the villages. That's where the name Ashanti comes from. The T means people of. T-I, people of what? Ashan. Where's Ashan from? The Bible. You can't ignore this stuff.
City of Judah.
Okay, it was a city in Judah. You cannot ignore this stuff. You may want to, but you can't.
It's gonna get you.
Exactly. Okay, so where we at now? What's going on?
So at this point, once they get into technological advancements, T'Chaka goes outside the country.
T'Chaka's the father.
Father of Black Panther,
Okay.
T'Challa. He goes out, and in the movie Avengers, there was an explosion that was caused by the enemy and killing T'Chaka, making T'Challa the new Black Panther. And so he returns home to be crowned king at this point. And he meets back with his sister and his mother and his royal guard and his friends and family and so forth were there to greet him. And basically they had
The royal guard was called the Dora Milange, something like that, which means adorable ones. That's what that name means.
So he met with them, and then they had to have basically a meeting. He had to do the ritual where they have him a challenge. They're all 5 tribes there, all 4 tribes. One tribe was stayed to itself. They couldn't call it the White Apes, but the 4 tribes came there together, have a ritual to anoint him as king. And were there any challengers regarding him being his kingship?
That scene was fantastic.
Yes, it was.
You saw how to open the mountain. You saw all of the people in the
dancing.
mountains dancing and chanting. That was a powerful scene. The visual alone was what's the word? Whatever.
Astounding.
Yes.
So there were no challenges until the White Ape tribe came along. I forgot what they're called. They were isolated. They were different. Another tribe. They came along. They challenged it, and he lost. Baku. Right, Baku.
Oh wait,
Baku.
I'm sorry. You know what we skipped?
What?
Nakia, the spy.
Oh yes.
Remember when he went to tell her, because she was on a mission.
Right.
She was kidnapped. Remember in America, there was a big campaign, I think it was a year or 2 years ago, about Nigerian women that were being kidnapped.
Yeah.
And in the truck, you had those girls
Right.
kidnapped, and she was amongst them. So they put in many political things in the movie. Go ahead,
Make it more realistic. Yes. So at this point, he goes to do a ritual to challenge him. No one challenged him, but the 5th tribe came along. Nabaku challenged him.
M'Baku.
And he lost. And that's it, I think, at this point.
Well, he spared M'Baku life. You understand?
Yes.
He had mercy on his brother. You know,
He said, "The people need you."
Right.
He said, "Don't let me kill you. The people need you." And then he realized, okay, he's doing me a service, and he tapped out.
Right.
You know,
But
right.
that shows you a quality of a leader, because he could have killed him, but he spared his life.
Right.
And in him sparing his life, in the long run, when we
his
fast
life.
forward, he ended up saving his life and coming to his aid.
Right.
You
So
know,
after that, that's when they do the ritual, have him drink the heart-shaped herb. They have him drink it. He gets his strength back, and they lay him in the dirt to visit his ancestors in the spiritual realm.
Right.
And then he goes there and meets the Panther God. I don't know about the Panther God's name. He goes there and meets the Panther Gods there, and all the dead of his ancestors are all there, the former kings and so forth, and meets his father there. And his father speaks to him about his responsibility and how he's proud of him, and he was happy to see his father. And the father said to him, he said, "I'm not prepared for this." And the father said, "Why? I've trained you from your youth to be prepared for this." He said, "Not that. I'm ready for that, but not prepared to do this without you." And the father said, "You have a good heart, and you're a good person. And it's hard for a good man to be king." That's what the father said to him, gave him that advice. And he woke up from that.
No, hold on.
Yeah.
But when he after he told him that, he also told him, but you gotta surround yourself
People,
with
people you can trust.
with people you could trust.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So that shows you, as even as a king, you know, you need people that, or a leader, you need people that you could trust around you. You know, because the people that we got around us is people that we got to be able to trust. So that's something heavy that they show in the movie right there.
Right. The part you mentioned earlier about the uniting of the 5 kingdoms, right, is pertinent. Most High is about that thing. When we go to Zephaniah 2:1, a lot of times our people don't realize that unity is a major factor to what we need to survive. Okay? And this is what Zephaniah 2:1 is saying. Read that.
Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation, not desired.
If y'all haven't realized it yet, black man, black woman, Latin man, Latin woman, we're not desired in this earth. The Bible says, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. Go ahead.
Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as a chaff.
Meaning destruction. So the Bible's about unity, coming together as one. And that's something we have not figured out yet. And another thing about when he ate the herb and they went back to see the ancestors. The whole movie's heavy about your ancestors.
Right.
And of course, we're not supposed to get into witchcraft and summon up spirits.
Right.
However, the Bible does mention our ancestors. If we can read Leviticus 26 and 45. Okay, I just want to read, because it uses the word. Most Christians don't realize that ancestral lineage is important when you read the Bible. Okay, and we are the Israelites who fled into Africa and were there for over 1,000 years. Read that.
Leviticus 26,
45.
verse 45. But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors.
See that? But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors. So the black man and black woman today, we have forgotten who our ancestors are. In Africa, you got 54 countries. You have about 3,000 tribes, okay? We have to come to the realization that we are the children of Israel who fled into Africa in the year 70 AD. We created great empires while we were there, okay? We ventured out and conquered all of Europe and set up empires there. Then we fell around the Renaissance era. The white man, the Arabs, and certain African chiefs came together and conquered us and sold us over here and throughout the Caribbean and Europe, places like that.
Elder, you mentioned Zephaniah 2 verse 1 as far as us coming together. And the thing about it is that our brothers and sisters, you got to realize the other nations don't want us to come together. In the past, I would say 5 years, you had Black Panther, which is a great movie, which we just finished seeing, and you also had Birth of a Nation.
Yes.
Those two movies, mainly the so-called white man Esau, went out of his wits to sabotage those two movies. And he did a great job with Birth of a Nation, which, how much did they pull in?
They made 7 million.
Seven point something million.
That's horrible, okay? And they also tried to sabotage Black Panther. You can go online and do the research. They went out of their way to what? Stop the imagery of us coming together as a nation of people. And that's their job.
And that's being seen in a positive light, and there was no effeminate behavior amongst the men, especially. All the men were warriors, and Black Panther had people around him that had his back. People aside from the female guards part, but nonetheless, he had loyalty around him, and that's something that black folks lack as a nation entirely. We lack loyalty. Royalty comes with loyalty; both go hand in hand. And that movie put us in a light that we've never seen before. I haven't seen in a while since coming to America. That's the last time we've seen ourselves in a royal image on television, on theaters, is coming to America. Or otherwise, we're apes, indirectly apes, or we're blue people in some fantasy world called Avatar. It's one or the other. But in this movie in particular, this movie right here had the black man was a superhero. His sister was a genius. He was wealthy, smart, and he had a love interest of a sister that looked just like him. A dark, beautiful sister who played in 12 Years a Slave, Patsy. Her name was Pita Nyong'o. Yes, yes, she played his love interest. She was a spy also, you mentioned earlier. And that was his love interest, which is very rare. Usually they have the lightest sister they can find to put her in there. But for the first time in a long time, they had a sister that was almost either the same shade as him or darker as a love interest. And the LGBT even tried to get mad and say there wasn't enough homosexual references in the movie. Yeah. That's not what it's for. It's called Black Panther, not Sodom Panther, not Gay Panther, not Booty Warrior Panther, not Lesbian Panther, Black Panther. Leave it as that. Right. But that's that infiltration. That's that white supremacy again. That they push. That's who pushes it. That's who the colonizer pushes that stuff.
Right. That goes to show exactly how important imagery is. And the reason why our enemies fought so much against the movie with the propaganda and the things like this is because the images on the screen that's coming close to proper has the power to change how you think. And that can make the difference between 0 and 100. And I'll give an example. I want to make sure that I saw this part right. There was a scene in the movie where the one sister looked like she had a perm in her hair.
Yes.
Looked like she had a perm, and the other two characters, had the natural, and they spoke against it.
Okoye.
She was like,
she was the general of the royal guard.
Right. Okay. She spoke against that.
She says it's a disgrace.
It's a disgrace. That was a message to our sisters that still have this this white standard of beauty of thinking of perm in your hair. So even in something as small or what might be termed as minute, has a very powerful statement to it. When you put that inside a movie that is surrounded with honor, because it was talking about kings and how to set up kingdom, loyalty, ranking and staff, it was beautiful. You put all of that in there, you're actually painting a world of proper imagery. And And those that hated the movie and used and worked to sabotage it, they understood that because they understand the power of just seeing proper imagery.
So you're saying that was fear of a black planet?
Yes, absolutely.
The fear of being able to succeed without Edomites,
Yeah,
without the
absolutely.
so-called white man.
Exactly.
And they didn't,
exactly.
it didn't stop there. Remember, she took the thing off and
Right.
threw that Esau.
And threw it. See
And
that?
threw it at him.
Right. See
That was all
You
that
talking about the
That
wig?
was symbolism.
The wig. She
Right.
threw a
That
wig.
was
It was symbolism. She
symbolism,
threw
yes.
a wig off and she
Yep.
threw it at the
Yep.
guy. And then she said these Americans.
Yeah.
Right,
Or
right.
this primitive.
You know
Right.
what? It's
She was
heavy.
talking down to them.
Remember Proverbs 3:31. It says, "Envy thou not the
Right.
oppressor, and
That's
choose
it.
none of his
His
ways."
ways. That was
In
the
South
point.
Africa, parts of South Africa, they're not allowing many of the young black girls to graduate unless they perm straighten their
See
hair.
that?
Oh, dang.
That's what's going on over there. in
It's
parts.
horrible.
So it was particular. It was particular that they put that scene in the movie
All
to,
that.
to strike against that.
Yep.
So that's political almost in a
Yes.
sense. That's good.
The movie
That's
has
good.
many different political and social and personal or cultural references, indirect nuance references within it. If you're, how you say, it was in the world woke
Right.
or conscious, you catch on to it.
Right.
Especially if you're in this
Exactly.
Bible, you really catch on to a lot of things
Exactly.
that were in there. It was in there.
She
Right.
expressed great disdain for that thing too,
Mhm.
for that hair. And
Right.
you know what? When she said that, the way her gesture, the way she was carrying herself when she said it, she reminded me of Esther. When Esther said how she
Right.
hated her
Yeah, state.
her
Garments
crown,
and all
her
that,
garments and so
She
forth.
seen it as a menstruous rag.
Yeah, as a menstruous rag. That's the same thing that popped up in my mind.
Yep.
No,
You know?
I told you had said something early on about the colonizer, right?
Yeah, that's
The
called.
colonizer. Remember when, because Rwanda, which
Wakanda.
is Wakanda,
Uh-huh.
right? No outsider ever came there. You understand? So when the outsider came in there, remember when when they brought that Edomite there to save him, the CIA agent, and the sister,
Sherry.
Sherry, she said, she called the Edomite, she said, "Hey colonizer," like she was making fun of him, like you a colonizer. You understand? So
Said, don't touch anything.
yeah, she
Right.
said don't touch anything, but the point is she called him a colonizer. You understand? Meaning she understood that Esau, what they do, they colonize and destroy, and you know, they understand their history, you know.
And that's why they kept Wakanda a secret for so long.
Right.
And also, going backwards, you have introducing the villain, who's, I would say, did an excellent job. Michael B. Jordan, who played in the movie Creed, Fruitvale Station. He's done a lot of Ryan Coogler movies. They're a good team in the movies. Fruitvale Station, Creed, and this movie. Ryan Coogler is the director of all three. Great director. But Michael B. Jordan played an excellent villain in this movie. He plays Eric Killmonger. Eric Killmonger was also Wakandian, who was the child of T'Chaka's brother, who was basically a spy. Wakanda had different spies. set
Njobu.
different-
His name was Njobu.
Njobu. They had different spies throughout different areas. And his brother was placed in Oakland, California, I believe.
Yep.
And he fell in love with an American sister, with a sister, and had a child, who of course became Eric Killmonger. And what happened was his motives were different from his brother's motives. His motive was Wakanda was a bubble. Wakanda stayed to itself. They felt that their safety was important, and they kept to themselves. While their people, of course, they mentioned that also indirectly about the slave diaspora. They remained unconquered and not colonized, and so they stayed together, and they forgot about their brethren outside. So when the brother was sent out on a mission to watch out for the Americans in Oakland, California, he saw our people, Wakandians or Negroes, in that condition. He said, "Listen, we have technology in Wakanda we can use to give to our people who are scattered abroad, oppressed everywhere, and have them rise up against the oppressor, and we can all be like us. You can take over."
Right.
The father.
Before we move on, he said they are bringing guns in the community. They are bringing drugs in the community. That's what he's telling.
And they kill the leaders, he said.
Yeah, that's what they are killing the leaders. This is what he's telling the Wakanda king.
Yeah, his brother.
Yeah, that's what he's telling his brother. You know, because even before his brother came in, you don't realize what he did. He had a bunch of guns and stuff. You know, so he was part of some kind of movement that was in Oakland at that time, probably fighting against the oppressor, fighting against Esau.
Right.
You understand? Because you all know back then, you know back then, you know, we had the different brother people that was fighting against oppression. So he had all them guns, and he saw when the ship come, and he told the dude, yo, hide the guns and so forth. You know, then when his brother came and he said, listen, they bringing guns and drugs in the community, killing the leaders. So you could tell that his brother was part of some form of struggle here in the United States of America.
He acknowledged that Wakanda was not just the land, it was the people.
Right.
His brother realized that Wakanda, we can't just look out for Wakanda. Wakanda is scattered abroad, diaspora. Wakanda is the diaspora. Basically, the Wakanda is our people. Wakanda is Israel. That's who it is. So-called fictional Wakanda is realistically Israel. And the brother saw that we can't just look out for Wakanda. We have to help aid our people everywhere. The father was more so on a protect Wakanda as it is, and that's their business. So the brother was like, said, well, if that's the case, I'm going to turn on Wakanda and give weapons to the white man so he can sell them to our people and they can, you know, whatever, he can rally them up. And that, of course, that was a bad decision. And then the brother T'Chaka ended up killing him. And Eric, who was the son of that man, was downstairs. And he basically gained a resentment and a hatred towards T'Chaka and his son. And so he basically went into the military. He went to Iraq. He fought in the war in Iraq. He was in all kind of gangs and so forth. He was in that life. He was in the life a lot of us suffer from now, in the ghetto and slums. So he was deserted. When after T'Chaka killed his brother, left his son there stranded in the States, oppressed. And so he gained a resentment for the throne. He said, I'm going to take the throne. I'm going to liberate my people. But he was broken. His father was killed. He was deserted in the ghetto and slums. And so his ideals became corrupt. At first it was about his people, but then it became about himself and power. Later on, he basically became an ambitious Negro. That's what happened.
Yeah. I want to go back to what Shuri said when she called the white man colonizer. I love that one scene. And a lot of our people don't realize what she's saying when she says colonizer. And most Christians who read the Bible don't realize that God speaks about it. I'm going to read it for you. Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to read 49 to 51. Watch this. It says, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. So Spain's symbol was the eagle, Greek's symbol was the eagle, Rome's symbol, and America's symbol was the eagle. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Here it comes. And he, this fierce nation, shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of your land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, oil, or increase of thy kind. That's colonialism right there. So when Shuri called the white man the colonizer, people laughed, but I believe most people don't realize God speaks about that in his word. Okay. Now, you mentioned about when the king killed his brother. Now, did you get up to the part where the fight where they had with each other? Did you get to that part?
With Eric and Panther? No.
Come on, y'all want you to pick up
he kills Claw, because Claw was behind
Who's Claw?
Claw is the villain, another villain. Edomite named the Claw. He's the main villain in Black Panther comics and the movie as well. And he basically found a way into Wakanda, and he caused like an explosion and killing a lot of Wakandians, and he managed to escape with some vibranium. Eric Killmonger and him get together to get back into the country, back into the land, and he ends up killing Claw to get his way in, to gain the graces of the people within Wakanda, to gain status, and which he does. So at this point, he gets in.
He killed his girlfriend.
He killed his girlfriend. Right? Claw had his girlfriend held captive, and she said, "I'm sorry." He blew her away and killed Claw. He was merciless. Like I said, he was merciless. And so he finds his way into Wakanda. He challenges Black Panther to the crown. Listen, you're not worthy of that. I should be king. And of course, he beats the hell out of T'Challa and throws him off a cliff. And he becomes king. And while he's king, he is tyrannical. He starts like choking people out. He
wants to destroy the herbs.
He wants to destroy everything. And he manages to go back into his ancestral realm of his ancestors and comes across his father in the same place where his uncle killed him. And his father's like, you know, they have a talk, and he says to his son, he says to him, "No tears for me." And he goes, so he said to him, he says to him,
Everybody dies.
Everybody dies. He was like, "Oh, so that's how you are." And then he starts to cry, and the father starts to cry. So the father realized at that point that his son was lost. He lost all. He had no care at this point. He was he was done. And that's
But you know what's heavy? I forgot this one part. Remember when, as a boy, when he went into the house, when he in the spirit world, he opened the wall. He pulls out a book,
journal,
which had a journal which was written in Wakandan on some pages, and others was translated. And it had his ring, his ancestral ring.
Yep.
The book was the key to everything, to where Wakanda is and what he needed to do. But he wasn't interested in reading it because his father wrote everything down for him. You know, that reminds me when the Lord says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read." He didn't want to read it though. He just wanted to take over, crush, destroy everything.
So he ended up joining the military. He said, "I'm gonna take all that I learned, and I'm gonna give up it to my people. I'm gonna give Wakandian technology to my people who are oppressed everywhere." And he was on the throne. He said, "Yeah." He's on the throne. He's sitting there. And he says to people like this. He goes, "Where were you? Where was Wakanda when our people was in slavery? Where were y'all at?" He was in the ghettos. He was getting on them because Wakanda was selfish. It's about self. He goes, "Where were you? We were being oppressed and so forth." So his mind was somewhat conscious, but he was so damaged from his father's death, from the environment he was in, that his goals were twisted. He wasn't focused. His intentions were right to a degree, but he was so damaged and bitter and much resentment from his father's death to his condition, to Wakanda abandoning him, that he basically wanted to destroy everything. His mind was to destroy everything, Wakanda, and it was a battle royale at this point.
Now, when he wanted to give weapons to all the oppressed, we were cheering. We said, "Yeah!" Now, but when you think about it, just think about it. Imagine if we had capabilities, weapons to give to all the oppressed people. You know what it'd be? Anarchy. We start killing each other first, because you know how black people are. And so that's why it's not a good idea. Not yet. The mind has to be converted to think honorably, respectfully, and have that love for your people. We ain't there yet.
Right.
You know.
We struggle with things like just don't want to adhere to leadership and organization. I noticed that in the film you spoke about, I'm just trying to get the names together, about the two brothers that fought near the end. They fought you had Panther and who was
T'Challa
it?
Eric.
And Eric. Okay, Panther and Eric. When the throne was going to be turned over, when he usurped when he was in authority, and once it was known as king, everybody immediately honored him.
Yes.
Regardless of how they felt, right? Regardless of how they felt, that right there shows you, because without that you'll have mutiny. If they just decide they don't like the king for some reason, then they'll start plotting to take him down. The film showed you that that's not how you operate. Loyalty, and that's what I picked up in that. So that was a good point.
Eric Killmonger reminded me of Rehoboam.
Yes.
Young and dumb.
Yes.
And when you watch like towards the end when they're fighting each other, the captain, because Claw had ended up causing an explosion that killed T'Challa's friend's parents. And when Black Panther came back and didn't have Claw killed, he said, "See, it's the same as your father. Your father didn't kill the Claw, and you didn't kill Claw. It's the same as it was 30 years ago." He had that resentment towards Black Panther, and he turned against him and sided with Eric Killmonger. And in the end, he's fighting, and then he looks around, because his objective was to kill Claw for the sake of Wakanda's safety. And he was a god. He's part of the god. He was the love of the royal guard, the sister. And so when you watch it, he's riding a rhino. He's going to battle, and he stops and he looks around. He sees his own people fighting each other, and then he's like, he puts the sword down and he just kneels because he realized all I was trying to do, I became what I was trying to fight against. I became the enemy of my own people. Because he's running through his own people with rhinos. So he realized, yo, what am I doing? Because he's supposed to be the helper of Wakanda. He's just destroying it. And so that was a good part as well, because it showed that our people have the capability or thinking outside of themselves, looking around and going, wow, it's not about me, it's about the people. And he yielded. He knelt down and he yielded. And that's something that's very, very hard. And when white folks see us watch movies like that, movies incite inspiration.
Yes.
And you get ideals and you learn certain things from the movie. You can glean from it.
Exactly.
And that's a threat in itself. The movies, the certain concepts in the movie, the certain things in the movie show you that if our people are wise enough to pay attention, you can use that movie to teach a lot of people. Not saying everything was excellent. There was some things that was off, but the concepts and the certain things they were making, the political statements they were making, the social, the cultural statements they were making was on point, to the point where it's almost dangerous. That's why you had these white nationalists making these fake pictures about them getting beat up in theaters to go see it, protesting outside the theater saying you're in sin in Mississippi for seeing Black Panther, but they're saying you're in sin because they're like, you guys, while watching this movie, you're fighting against what we taught you. You're trying to get an image of yourselves, a positive light. You don't like that. You're in sin. And that was down south recently. You think that was 60s. This is 2018. They're still doing picket signs outside of a theater. Luckily, it wasn't a damn burning cross. That's what that was missing. So that shows that even movies that show us in a positive light in the eyes of the oppressor is a very, very dangerous tool. Because we don't look at it and go, wow, okay. Most of us think Black Panther, that's it. Those who are wise go Black director, Black writer, Black clothing designer, actors, writers, directors, whatever. We don't think like that. Those of us who are in the world and young, we think about this Marvel comics, superhero stuff. The movie is beyond that.
Right, because you know what's heavy in that too? For years, for centuries growing up, Esau teach us that in Africa, everybody is uncivilized. That's what they teach us. They teach us that everybody was running around butt naked with a spear, uncivilized. Yeah, and going, uncivilized. But what the movie Black Panther, what it shows us is that the people in Africa, they were not uncivilized. You understand? There was one part of Africa that was not touched by Edom. You understand? Because every other part of Africa was colonized, right? And Esau came in and did what they had to do and destroyed the people and took the resources. But this one place that was not colonized, all right, Wakanda, all right, to show you how that place prosper. You understand? And the people, they show you their culture, their riches, their culture, their rich culture, how they dress, how they carry themselves with pride and dignity and so forth. So that's heavy for brothers and sisters to think about today. So that's why also, as you said, Deacon Aiton, that's why Esau was really against this movie being put out there. But they still put it out there. Why? Because behind the comic book and all of that is an Edomite that making all the money.
Right.
You understand me? So that's why they did what they did to Birth of a Nation and shut it down. That's why they didn't do that, because behind all of that is an Edomite. And Esau said, listen, y'all ain't gonna shut this down. This is going with Marvel.
Money. Yep.
You know what I mean? We gonna be bringing the Black Panther. We gonna be bringing him in with Captain America. We gonna be bringing him with the Hulk and all of that. So listen, y'all ain't messing with our money.
So Wakanda was separate. It maintains itself separate from all the other nations.
Right.
It was never colonized.
Yes.
And there's a message behind that. Because many people think that without the white man, you cannot succeed.
Exactly.
That's false. The first empires, when you read Genesis 10 about the sons of Cush, which were all black. Under Nimrod, it says, verse 9 and 10, he was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, and the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar. And it tells you how far his empire extended. The first empires on earth were the Hamitic tribes, the Hamitic nations, okay? They got debased now because of colonization. Esau went in and destroyed them, made them base. That's what Esau did. So Wakanda was right by keeping itself separate, okay? And that's what the new kingdom, when the Lord sets up Jerusalem, we're going to be separate from all nations, like it says in 2 Corinthians 6. Come out from among them and be separate.
Right. And the nations will not be able to enter into our sin. The same concept in Rwanda, where Wakanda, the same concept in Wakanda, where no outsider could enter into the city.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the same thing in the New Jerusalem. It's saying a liar ain't gonna be able to enter into there. A thief will not be able to enter into there. Nor anybody that work at the abomination. You know, much less the heathen. He said the heathens will not be able to enter into the city because they're going to be 12 gates. And on them 12 gates, it's going to only be the 12 tribes of Israel that could be able to enter into that city. You know, that New Jerusalem. So it's the same concept, yeah, you know?
Right.
2 points that I wanted to bring out. Bishop mentioned about when the people in the theater responded to the Edomite, the white person being called a colonizer. That was a very powerful moment, because that shows you, because when I heard that, I was thinking in terms of how the media was trying to downplay the movie Panther, because for obvious reasons. We talk about imagery and things like this here. We're sitting in the theater and we recognize what we hear. And we all, the majority, all of them that was in the theater is not, you know, don't know about Israel, but we all have a collective injury, so to speak. When the colonizer was mentioned, we all was on one accord in understanding what that meant. This person, you know, these people represent people that go inside people's lands and take, you know, and most of the people in the theater understand that. The reason why I bring that up is because of what you mentioned, Deacon Ithon, about the picketing.
Yes.
People was picketing outside of a theater for a movie, which goes back to imagery. We're so disconnected as a people, we don't realize about how people really feel about us trying to get our minds together. And we are sharing the same thought as we all agreed when the colonized thing come up. Let me show you how lost we are. If you have people that are so hell-bent on trying to destroy the concepts that could come from this movie because of the change that it'll make. Compare that picketing of that. How come they didn't picket the gun stores that sold this dude Cruz, Nicholas Cruz, that shot up all of these people? Where's the common sense in that? You follow me? Nobody had a problem. Nobody even thought that something was wrong with that. And we're sitting in the theater and we all share the same thoughts, knowing that this colonizer is bad for the world, you know?
Eric Killmonger, even in that, he had camaraderie, because he knew that Killmonger was a victim. He wasn't just some maniac. They were behind his creation. His father killed his father, and he was bitter, and he was deserted. And so toward the end, after he mortally stabs him, he takes him up to the mountaintop, and he shows him the sunset, and he goes, "We can heal you."
Right.
And Eric Killmonger is like, "Why? So you can lock me up, heal me up, lock me up?" He goes, "Nah, I'll get what he said."
He said that our people died overboard. We chose death to die overboard rather than to live in bondage.
Right. He said, "I choose death over bondage."
Right.
And he took the sword and pulled it out, and he was finished. That was an excellent statement, because that lets you know that he still had a pride in his people.
Yep.
Even though he had a twisted sense of justice and order and so forth, he was more so linked to the oppressive side of Wakandians than the privileged side that Black Panther lived. That's the difference. They're like two sides of the same coin. Was one more impoverished than the other. It's like Lazarus and the rich man. That's what it seemed like. That's how it was to me regarding those two characters.
You know what's heavy about this statement that you just made? We have a lot of political leaders that have come up, and they have not learned the Bible. And if they had known the Bible, they could have been excellent. Leaders. That was the only thing that was missing from them. But they still had a desire for their people. It was a little warped in how they did it because they were not guided by the Bible.
Right.
So I correlate that with what you made. You made the statement about the brother that
Killmonger.
That killed, yeah.
And
Killmonger.
also, one of the things that's most important to understand is that these heathens, they think ahead. They have contingency plans. If plan A fails, they have B, C, D, E, F, and G. And one of the things that they're afraid of is that any kind of imagery that can lead them back to seeking identity. This goes back to us being that new FBI term, black identity extremists. This movie incites the seeking of an identity, because now you're seeing black folks in royalty, the way he was dressed, the way he carried himself, even the pound. That thing was just bad. That whole thing is bad.
They got that from us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's bad. But the point is that all of that flavor and that was really salt to the earth.
Judah right,
Right.
there.
That's so all of that was that incites a sense of, well then, this Africa, what are we? Who are we? That incites you to question things.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the nations conspired to do when they were successful is this. First Maccabees 12 verse 53 says, then all the heathen that were round about them sought to destroy them. For said they have no captain, nor any help, nor any to help them. Now therefore let us make war upon them, and take away the memorial from among men. So the heathens conspire to make certain that any thought of Israelites, us being Israel, is removed from the earth. Now, not even that no nation on the earth would remember they would have chosen people of God. And that movie incites, or has the potential to incite a sense of curiosity to have people lead back to being royalty, being kings, being princes, princesses, and can possibly tie them back to this Bible. And that's where all the picket signs come from, the black identity extremist nonsense comes from. All that is damage control. All that is checks and balances.
Right.
That's what that boils down to.
That movie could be summed up as a conduit that could lead us to the Bible. And
Exactly.
they're already thinking ahead of
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
They're already
Contingency.
thinking
I
ahead.
want to bring this up. When we left from Egypt, when you read the Bible, remember Egypt is in Africa. We walked from Egypt to the land of Canaan, which later became known as Israel. That's the land of Ham. When you read Leviticus 18, remember there were other Hamitic nations there. There were Hamitic nations there. In Leviticus 18:2, the Lord says to us, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein you dwelt, shall you not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall you not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances. Now, watch this. Watch this. So he said, when you go to Canaan, which later became known as Israel, he said, don't follow what they do. When you go to Leviticus 19:27, the Lord says, I'll read 21 and 5. I'll read that. It goes on. It says, they shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. So he gave us the law. Don't have a bald head. Now, if you notice in the movie, the women had bald heads. But if you notice, the king had a beard. Many of the men had beards in the movie,
Yes, he did.
which was scriptural, okay? And then it says, no make any cuttings in your flesh. You saw all of those little dots, cuttings. We took up many customs when we went into Africa. And remember, we were there for well over 1,000 years. And I'm talking about from 70 AD. I'm not even going way back here. All right,
Exactly.
because when we went back this time, during the time of Joshua, I'll say Moses. Moses, when you read, where is it? In Ezekiel 16. Remember the Lord was getting on us. Ezekiel 16 and 45. Thou art thy mother's daughter, is getting on a woman too, that loatheth her husband and her children. And thou art the sister of thy sisters, which loathe their husbands and their children. Here it is. Your mother was a Hittite, and your father an Amorite. Meaning, we took on the customs of the African nations that were there. When you read the book, even in this book, From Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor, he goes into that.
Yes, he does.
How when we went into Africa, we took on many of the customs, okay? But we were dominant in Africa. When the Israelites, we ruled. We were the ones that set up the Dahomey Empire and all these great kingdoms. We were the Zulu. That was us, okay? Although we took on the languages, because when we fled Rome, we merged, we mingled, we married. We learned their language, their customs, and all of that, made it our own. But now the Lord's calling us out of that.
Yes, he is.
You know? So in the movie, when you look at Eric Killmonger and who else? And T'Challa. T'Challa was upset, he said, because you left our brother there. And Eric Killmonger said, where was Wakanda for us? Y'all left us, you abandoned us here. And I remember always asking that question, how come our people in Africa never came to get us? Always ask that question. But without Eric Killmonger, it would have never stirred up Wakanda to do what they planned on doing in the future.
Right in the end.
You need that. You need that mindset. Like, for example, read this for me. Give me Zechariah 8. I just want to touch on this a second. Zechariah 8, verse 7 and 8. Excuse me. Watch what the Lord says about gathering his people. Okay?
Zechariah 8,
Verse 7 and 8.
verse 7.
Watch this. Watch what he says. Listen good.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will save my people.
Behold, I will save my people. So God does have a chosen people. But where are they? Read.
From the east country.
The east country is Africa. Go ahead.
And from the west country.
The west country is America. The continent of the Americas. Go ahead.
And I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem.
And I will bring them, and they shall dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. That is the motherland. Go ahead.
And they shall be my people.
And they shall be my people.
And I will be their God, in truth and in righteousness.
So the Bible gives you clues all through it where the people of God are. We're in the east country and in the west country. Okay, that's Africa and the Americas. Okay, so don't sleep.
And in the end, that ended up, Eric Killmonger struck a nerve in T'Challa, because in the end he ended up building recreation centers.
Right.
He bought that building that.
Yes.
Three.
He bought 3 buildings.
Yep.
Aside from the one that Killmonger's father was killed in, he bought that, and then he introduced his technology to the hood. And the kids came up to him and was like, "Wow, you know how Jake is. We can take this and take the parts and sell it on eBay." But there was one child that came up focused on.
Yep.
And the child looked at the ship, then looked over at the person that owned the ship,
Right.
because he was the more wiser one.
Right.
He goes
He wasn't fascinated
No,
by
that-
it. He said, I need to talk to the person
behind the ship,
it.
and he was like, "Who are you?"
Inquisitive.
Which is the same thing like in Malcolm X, when he was, "I never seen a Negro."
Yep.
It's the same
Right,
concept, just
exactly.
different wording.
Right.
You understand? That movie also got downplayed as well. That was an excellent movie as well, back in the 90s.
Right.
So that's another example.
Back to the scene when the ship came down. The ship came down.
Chariot.
The chariot came down. That's Ezekiel 1. Remember how they controlled it? It was no mechanism. She just sat there with her fingers like something. I don't know how she did her hand.
Like, yeah.
It was with her thoughts.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought.
Okay, that's what Ezekiel, the first chapter, is talking about. But remember what the black children wanted to do? They said, we could rob this.
Right.
That shows you the mindset of the American blacks here.
Yes,
Our
it does.
mind is
Yes, it
corrupt.
does.
And we can say it's due to poverty or what have you, but like you brought out, one child wasn't worried about stealing nothing.
Right.
He wanted to meet the man behind the
Exactly.
machine.
Right.
And that's where our minds are.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's
Exactly.
what we got to raise our children to,
Right.
not to steal,
Right.
to make a penny of stealing something.
Right.
Morality must be instilled in our people. And this white man, when you read Psalm 55, I just got to read it, 20, Psalms 55 and 20, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
Right.
He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. The white man always came with smooth words. He came speaking the words of Jesus, bringing us under Christianity. But war was in his heart. He did that with the American Indians. He did it during the time of colonization. We have not learned our lesson yet. Watch this. Today, whatever black people set up, you always got that Negro who wants to marry the white man or white woman and bring that devil among us and share with them
Yep.
our secrets.
That-
Share with
that
them
happened.
our learning and understanding.
Yep.
And that white man takes that and destroys us.
Right.
Negroes ain't figured that one out yet.
That's exactly what happened.
In the end.
In the end, that's exactly what happened. And they're sitting in the United Nations at the end of it. He's sitting there all dignified.
Right.
When during the beginning parts of the movie, he was like a buffoon. Like he didn't understand nothing. And they was treating him like an outsider. But he learned the system and he ended up winning favor between this one. And then they bringing him all in, saving his life, and now he's sitting in the United Nations, and you know what's going to happen after that.
Right. Remember Okoye, the general of the Dora Milaje? She told him, she said, this
Right.
white man
Yes.
will report back. I can't quote
But
it.
that's the scene. That's the
Everything
scene I'm talking
he gonna-
about. Right.
yeah.
He's going to take back his job. He's a CIA
Right.
something.
Yeah.
He's going to take
Bring
all
back
Yeah.
what he's learned.
Yep.
The movie ended on this, because Wakanda's strength was the technology. And in the end, this is what he did. The Bible says not to do that. It says, Sirach 26 verse 19, my son, you're the king, keep the flower of thine age sound and give not thy strength to strangers. And that's what he did in the end of the movie. He sat there and said, we're all going to come together. We're going to share our technology with you. The Bible says, never trust thine enemy.
Yep.
So the movie had to put that in there. Had to put in that integrational nonsense for the Infinity Wars. You know that already. But that part of the movie I frowned upon. We all know that introduces Wakanda to all people and becoming another democracy, another America. That was a...
Now, did y'all
Thumbs
mention
down for that
about what was great? Another thing that was great. He was in love with the black woman.
Yeah, I mentioned that, yes.
Oh, you did mention that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
That's
Yeah,
very
And
important.
just like him.
Yeah, and she was a real dark-skinned
Yeah.
sister.
Right.
You know what I mean? She had the woolly hair.
Ruddy.
You know,
was
she
ruddy.
had, you know?
Ruddy.
Yes, ruddy. She was ruddy.
Ruddy means
Right.
black.
Right.
Healthy skin.
With good
Perfect
complexion,
complexion.
all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She had no blemishes.
That's
Right.
right.
And she was so bad to him, they told him, don't freeze.
Yeah, he said, don't freeze,
Yeah,
don't
don't
freeze.
never freeze.
Yeah.
He said, I never freeze. He ended up freezing and
In the
almost
studio,
get-
the studio and everything.
Yeah.
Freezing.
almost ended up getting somebody killed.
Yeah.
You know, but concerning like imagery and so forth and what's being pushed on the earth today, you know, I want you all to understand, before the time of the Greek, before Alexander the Greek came into power, what you see in the movie Black Panther, that's how it was all over the planet Earth. You understand? That's how it was on the whole planet Earth, from the ancient Babylonians, which was a dark nation. You understand? From the Egyptians, which was a dark nation, which the Israelites, we destroyed them. You understand? But they were still a dark nation. You know, but from right through history until the time of the Greeks, what you see in that movie is that's how everybody was. You know, on the whole continent. That's how everybody was. The rulers and all of that was all people of color. It's only when Alexander the Greek came into power, that's when you so-called white people came into power and started ruling things. But before that, you all were servants.
Right.
You understand? Before that, you all were servants, man.
Real quick, watch this. At the end of the movie,
Right.
T'Challa said he's going to share the
Technology.
technological advancements with all the nations. Let me ask you a question. Does America share their uranium and their technology with the ICB and with all nations?
Not at all.
No, they don't do that.
And even if other nations try to get it, he sends weapons inspectors and all kind of.
make
You
sure
can't
they
even have that
Exactly.
over there.
Exactly.
But hey, Ella, check it. What's so heavyweight? Just say you did a class, probably a year ago or so, where you went over the European nation. The reason why that was formed was so that they could share the nuclear technologies and economics and so forth. They share amongst each other.
Right.
They wasn't sharing it amongst the third world countries.
Right.
They just share it with each other. With
Germany,
with
Russia,
Germany,
those kind of-
Russia,
right, those
Europe,
kind of
them,
places, right.
you know, amongst themselves to advance their race. That's what
Right.
they did.
Yep.
You know, because they was the ones that came up with the atom bomb and you know that all them technology. Even today, they share that technology amongst themselves. And they make laws where they say no other third world country could acquire them capability because they're not responsible enough to deal with it.
That's why they're giving Iran and Iraq a hard time about uranium.
Yeah, they say you're not responsible enough to deal with them kind of.
Because Esau know, once the dark nations get technology like that, what do you think they're going to do?
Yeah.
Let's wipe them out. That's what they're going to do. Because they know Esau is the root and cause of all wickedness in the earth. Nations, they have to go.
Yep.
And think about it, like the point, the movie in general is making the point that what's the name of the place again?
Wakanda.
Wakanda had this technology, and it's not suffering from the plagues that these quote unquote developed countries are suffering from, like America. America has been in existence in terms of what they say in history, a little over what, 200 years?
Yeah.
And already the water's in trouble. The air's in trouble. And this man has just ruled just for a little bit. He ain't really ruled too much.
Yeah, baby.
You know, during the Dark Ages, most of that was us. He ain't really had his chance to really get loose and do it. Since he been turned loose in this country here, the whole earth is in trouble. You understand? So what kind of technology is he going to help with it? No. This man got to come down, you know. So.
And as far as him being the king, he didn't really understand the outside world. That sister, remember, she said she wanted to go back help the people is people who need the help outside.
Nakia.
Nakia. He told her, no, stay with me. She said, no, I got to go back because there's people out there, our people out there, who need help back there. That's why in the end he turned around and wanted to set up the outreach program because she put that thought in his mind that there's other people that need help besides our people here.
Yeah, but he set up an outreach program and then gave the other nations then technology.
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess the point that I was making, really, just to bring it clear about what I was talking about with the lifespan of America, a 200-year span, and everything is in trouble.
It's been like 242 years.
Right, something like that. When you have, like we was talking earlier, you had Babylon, you had Egypt, you had time periods all the way up. You had Persia.
Right.
All of these kingdoms, nothing was in trouble.
Right.
Look how everything is now. Stuff is just,
And they was glorious too.
Right.
In riches.
They didn't have the problems.
It was
you
glorious.
could breathe the air. It wasn't.
This kingdom was beautiful.
So then let's read description.
Esau.
Right.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Esau
Revelation
was-
11:18.
That's the one I need. Right.
It says, and the nations were angry,
There
and
it
thy
is.
wrath is come,
Mhm.
and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets,
Mhm.
and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth.
That's it right there. There ain't no other nation did this but these people here.
Make mention of the great work that the sister Ruth Carter did with the clothing design. Isaiah 52 teaches us. It says, awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments.
Yes, sir.
So we got to come out of the baggy pants,
Right.
Yeah.
the
Tight jeans.
skinny jeans, breast showing and all of that stuff, and put back on our beauty. That's what you saw in the movie Black Panther. So when I saw even the sandals,
The real sandals is bad too.
they was leather. It was bad.
Leather is
I
bad.
can't wear that stuff, man. I got corns.
Yeah, you got And although, Wakanda is not a real place, the Bible tells us here in Isaiah 62, 6 and 7, it says, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence, and give him no rest till he establish and till he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. That's the capital of the earth, Jerusalem. That's the mother of us all.
Right.
Our land is Israel. Jerusalem is the capital of everything. And that's our land. That's the land that God tells us to glorify and honor.
There's a level of power that's being exercised on this earth right now. We talk about the superpower and all that. But just to realize that we are in God's prophecy. And in terms of us waking up, the class that you went over yesterday when we talk about the valley of the dry bones, to recognize that you are in prophecy, that's very powerful.
Right.
Imagine what that will do for a young black man, a young black woman who's been taught that they were nothing.
Right.
And to realize that God is actually moving on you. It's actually waking you up, and then you find your lifetime in Scripture. And you say, you know what, God is dealing with us, and you see him. That does that changes, that gets rid of the Negro mind. It puts you in a power seat, so to speak. God is working with me. That means I don't have to think low. I can actually think like a superhero. I can actually think like I can really get things done.
For the benefit
For
of
the
our
benefit of exactly. I can really, against what they're trying to say about me, I'm the chosen. And what that will do for us. Put you right in that conduit to get things moving. Powerful.
Okay. So with that, brothers, sisters, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Israel forever.
Israel forever.
Forever.
Israel forever.
All right.
It'll be like them.
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.